were some good moments during Mike Pillow's gathering.
I'm laughing already.
Yeah, there were some upsides. He called Dan Bongino from Fox News Dan Bongino. That was funny. Beg your pardon. He called him Dan Bongino or somebody, which I think, since Dan Bongino's been defending him so vociferously over the last month, is really a sweet move. Also puts another check in the kind of a jerk area. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't, somebody who's coming to your defense regularly in the media, well-known human being, on the network he's been attacking nonstop. And by the way, the other upside is that he's attacking Fox every turn. He said shame on Fox at least.
See them on the ropes with the crazy far right. Like they just aren't far right enough anymore.
Well, yeah. I don't know that that's the case. I think they just bury it so well because they know their job has never been overt. It's been relatively covert. That's why the name Fair and Balanced. You know what I mean? It's why they didn't call themselves, Real America's Voice or One America News or whatever. Fox has used the phrase, fair and balanced to give the illusion of being fair and balanced for a long time. And so within that fair and balanced idea, then you can sort of you can put the pill in the dog food, that you're feeding folks, and they won't spit it out. Because if you just gave them it, if you had to experience Tucker Carlson in his purest form, it'd be in German, but but the clothes would be better. I'm just saying. Sorry. but you know what I mean? Like, they have to soft pedal into that stuff, right? That's been their goal, and their key is, if you're trying to drift America to the right, you can't do it through, you got to say the quiet part quiet, right? Well, they're now, they started saying the quiet part so quiet that dogs like Mike Lindell can't hear it. And so they don't understand, because I don't know how this happened, but I ended up sort of coming to Fox's defense as an organization anyways, just on an obvious level, when he was decrying the fact that they wouldn't air the ads for his, Cyberama. And he was saying, why won't Fox? Everybody else is doing that. Why aren't they, airing my ads? Fox, shame on Fox. And he pulled his ads, which he said costs Fox $1 million a week and him $1 million a week. Which if your ads cost what you're making in sales, it's a bad ad campaign, or you need to raise your prices or find another place to advertise, because it's, you know what I mean? Yeah. I put $1 million in ad a week, I get $1 million in revenue. Why don't you just keep your money and sit home? I don't understand. So he was arguing that, why wouldn't Fox air his ad? Well, Fox isn't airing his ad because they will get sued. They had an agreement with Dominion voting machines that if they do an apology, air it on the network, and then stop lying about Dominion, then Dominion won't sue them. They had an arbitration, and they were like, look, you guys leave us alone, we'll leave you alone. But the minute you start lying about us again, we're going to sue you. Mm-hmm. Well, that includes promoting anybody who's lying on it. So you can't just bring on Mike Lindell and go, we didn't know he was going to talk about it. Of course you knew. And that would also include airing ads of his event to get, we can't say it on the network, but you guys might want to check out Mike Lindell's thing this week. How is that different in terms of reach and audience for people who have cable or watch Fox on the internet to slip over to Frank, or Flank, FWANQ.com, which is how you get to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/houseparty. Anyway, so he was raging at Fox about this, when in fact, if Fox had aired these ads, it would have cost them easily $1 billion. And he was like, I pulled $50 million worth of revenue from Fox because they wouldn't air my ads. And like, well, let me do a little bit of math for you, Mike. Lose 50 million or lose 1.2 billion. You're not exactly gonna flip a coin. You know what I mean? So, anyways, and then he was raging at them about this. Then Newsmax and OAN, who also like news, I don't know what the deal was with Newsmax or with OAN rather, but Newsmax clearly came to an agreement in their lawsuit situation because they aired one of those mea culpas and stopped talking about Dominion as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they
decided so hard you can see smoke and dust come up.
Oh yeah, and then Wednesday morning they decided, the heck with it, we're going to air his thing. We're going to air all 3 days of it. Well, that's clearly a violation of their arbitration agreement, and they and OAN got served with billion-dollar lawsuits that morning. And Mike Lindell uses this as a gotcha and says, these folks waited till we were starting our event to sue OAN and Newsmax. They waited till we started this just for the bad press to attack us because no, dummy. Until the very second they started airing your show, your Cyberama, they were not in violation of their arbitration agreement. The second they started airing it, they became in violation of it. That's why the timing.
Yeah.
So then we go to this county clerk, Ms. Peters, Tina Peters, I think is her name, from Mesa, Colorado, who had her office raided because somebody in her office, while airing footage or showing footage of being able to get into her office where the voting machines were kept, showed the passwords for the machines themselves on the screen, which is a federal offense. And she allowed that person in, and that person committed a felony showing it to someone else. Now, I'm hearing conflicting stories as far as the details coming out about what official position the person who showed the stuff had in her office or relation to her office, and the person who actually showed the passwords to Gateway Pundit. But we have, finally, folks, thanks to the Mike Lindell Cyberama, an example of attempted voter fraud and manipulation of voting machines by a Trump-supporting county clerk in Colorado and her right-wing anti-vaxxer buddies who are sharing secret passwords that are kept secret to protect the integrity of our elections to a right-wing news site. Yeah.
It goes to show that they are willing to do everything that they project onto the others. Yeah. Like they're actually doing what they're inventing that the left has done. Right.
And when they do it, it's okay that they're doing it. That's the amazing part. It would be one thing if they're like, if they denied it, if they just kind of went, I'm not doing that. We didn't do that. But when they do it, they're like, we're checking.
We did it first.
We have the right to look at these machines. Never mind the fact, and I don't know how many times I have to talk about this, where it will finally sink in with people that anything the public knows, the rest of the world knows. Just period, okay? So FOIA requests and requests for internal documentation, and especially the request to see the software we run our elections on, should be difficult to get. you should have to prove an outsized reasoning for it, and you should have to prove that you can be trusted with it. And this is the most frustrating thing of that these folks seem to think, and this is a consistent thing amongst the maggots, is that they seem to think that their fealty to Donald Trump is proof of their patriotism.
Yeah.
And yet, the result of their alleged patriotism would be to find any and all national security secrets they could possibly find and share them on the web.
Yeah, they're such patriots that they're willing to commit treason.
Right. Because it's not their fault that North Korea and China and Russia and Iran and I don't know, Boko Haram and the Taliban and ISIS and South American dictators would know how what our software was. Get a copy of it. Get a copy of the software that we run our elections on, and do what you will, because patriots deserve to look at it in a room and share pictures of it on their phone, as if like, look, I'm just showing them the truth. I'm like, okay. It was incredibly frustrating to watch those moments, but I think the funnest part of it for me was there's a dude, and people can, if anybody's seen it or whatever, there's a guy who was one of the techs, but kept saying, I'm not a computer expert, which again, why are you there? But okay. He's one of these dudes in a short sleeve, button down, checkered shirt, white baseball cap with racer style sunglasses on the top. You know what I'm talking about? Like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
On top
uniform.
Yeah, exactly. Oversized straight leg jeans, work boots, and
hair?
None.
Okay.
Although there were some there that did. Those were the ones that kept hidden. And a clip on his belt for his phone, right?
Wow.
Yeah, you know the fellow. You know him.
Damn.
You've seen him. And not all of them are bad. That's not what I'm saying. But he's definitely the guy who's going to come out of the service department or out from under your house and go, yeah, that's not a simple leak, man. That's going to, if we could patch that, that'd be like $300. But I'm sorry, we're going to have to tear out the whole thing. Because you got a 754 underneath there. It's got 228 fittings on it, and that's the problem right there. You got a
755.
Yeah, you got a transitional vibrations coming from the structure that's going to eventually break down over time. You're going to have a whole big mess, and your whole bathtub's going to be full of water. I'm just telling you.
Tell me more about the vibration.
Yeah. So I'm gonna need you.
I may not want to fix the tub.
We can fix it. I got a buddy, okay? And all he has to do, if you just give us the keys to your house and go away for the weekend, we can get this all fixed up. We will need your Wi-Fi password and the code to your safe. And are there any firearms or pets in the house? I'm going to need the names of your
Southern accent. I thought you were going to say, we'll need your wife. We'll need your wife.
Well, now that you mention it, sir, he reeked of that. He reeked of a guy who was selling that to him, to Mike Lindell. Basically, he's like, oh yeah, we can find fraud. Yeah, all this is full of fraud. Look at this. I mean, this is frauderific. This whole thing. It's going to take us a while though. And we're talking, this is not going to be, you want the truth. The truth is not free. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to need a couple of months. We're talking $30K a day at least to hook up the equipment and work on it. That's exactly what was happening to this idiot. This was in part unfortunately a manipulation scheme to drive more Jan 6 people to try and attack secretaries of state's office and elected officials. But it was also a dog and pony show to convince Mike Lindell that he hadn't been pouring good money after bad, which he has. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the Housemarks radio program, mega worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. You think DeSantis has a shot? next election cycle? I don't know. Dubious. So we were talking during the break, Johnny Million, about this Mesa County clerk who, Mike Lindell was saying she had her office raided before they got there. And the timing. Well, the timing, folks, has a lot to do with the fact that time moves forward. And sometimes an event will occur, and then it will take time for, say, the legal system to catch up with it or deal with it. It will take time. It will take time for an investigation to find out the what actually happened before they can get a warrant and act on more information. You know how that works. Like if you've ever seen a crime show, and now a month ago, this investigation began because there was this password showed up on, I think, the Gateway Pundit's website. And needless to say, this was a point of concern for the government of Colorado and the Secretary of State, whose office is in charge of, among many things, keeping the passwords for the voting machines safe. And so as there's a downstream version of who has access to what, it's her responsibility to figure out how it happened, who let it happen, and to punish that person, or if in fact it was her own problem, to step down herself, right? That's what responsibility is. And I know Republicans have a hard time understanding this word.
They used to be their jam, though.
Yes. But now it's in the same category as consent. It seems to boggle their mind. They just can't seem to consent of the governing and stuff. So in this particular instance, they found out that this Mesa County clerk, who is a huge Trump fan and believes that the election was hacked, allowed some nudniks into the room where they held these things, and they, I guess, took pictures, hooked up computers to the stuff. I mean, they're gonna have to decertify all these machines. All the machines in Mesa County are going to have to be taken offline. Now, same as Maricopa County, all the machines in Maricopa County. That's millions of dollars, and this is gonna.
Who's gonna pay that, by the way, Hal?
The taxpayers. By the way, in many cases, red states don't worry about it. See, the federal government often will shore up any limitations in that area. I mean, beyond your own, because you can make an emergency. Oh my God, we don't have enough machines. We had to decertify some because of this awfulness that happened. And the blue states and the federal government will end up footing the bill. That's how. So let's see. While an investigation into the incident has determined the breach did not result in a direct security risk, Griswold's office, that's the Secretary of State of Colorado, did confirm the person did release the passwords for the underlying voting machine software online. Despite those determinations, Griswold has explained why the man's presence was problematic. He's not an employee. Okay, so this is, by the way, Tina Peters could be facing legal consequences for the misstep, as the county will now be unable to use the equipment for the upcoming fall election. The Dominion voting equipment was part of a breach that will now have to be replaced officially. They have gone to that. And she allowed this unauthorized individual access. And they said, he's not an employee. You have to be an employee to attend these, these gatherings, like these once-overs of the machines. She said, you also have to be background checked, and the county clerk's office specifically misled my office, saying that he did comply with the rules. Speaking to the publication, Griswold offered an update on the incident. We know that the information was posted by an extreme conspiracy theorist last week. That's Gateway Pundit. On Thursday, August 14th, county spokeswoman Stephanie Reese also addressed the situation, but did not offer specific details about the current investigation. There are still many unanswered questions, and the board is working closely with the legal counsel to determine the next steps, Reese said in an email. The board's focus continues to remain on ensuring the integrity of the voting process in Mesa County. Sure. Yeah. Continuing. Yeah. In an email to the publication, Mesa County District Attorney Dan Rubenstein also confirmed that an investigation is underway and could potentially lead to charges against those involved. I can confirm that we have not entered into this investigation with any personal or criminal act in mind, and will reserve judgment on that until the investigation is complete. I also am unable to speculate on the length of time the investigation will take, as we are too early in the investigation to make good sense of the scope of it. The latest report also garnered reactions online. In a series of tweets, Julian Sanchez shared his opinion of the situation, explained why it is questionable. So this sure looks an awful lot like Mesa County, Colorado officially helped conspiracy theorists steal data from Colorado's election systems in order to give them to Mike Lindell to hunt for phantom evidence of rigging. By the way, did happen. She showed up there personally.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm gonna guess it was an air net or a wet net or a sneaker net, some people will call it, which is I take a drive and I walk using my sneakers across the floor and create a network by giving you a physical hard drive. There's a lot of that going on in the Lindell thing this week. And the fact, if this woman hadn't shown up, I would have believed that there was that it was just she was there as a spokesperson because she was an example of how people were being attacked. But in reality, she very well may have been there to deliver things to him. She showed up on cue to bring stuff with her. And so I think part of the investigation needs to look into the idea that, oh, thanks. My girlfriend just brought me a coffee while we're sitting here. Thanks, babe.
Yay.
It was a very long line. Hooray. And, thanks, babe. And so I personally think if anybody in the Mesa County DA's office is listening, maybe go interview some of the folks in the cyber room, the people who didn't show up on camera at Mike Lindell's thing, and see if somebody brought them any physical hard drives while they were there, and if that physical hard drive corresponded with the arrival of Tina Peters in, and her name is not Tina Peterson, but she's definitely, we're going to call her that because of Johnny Million. We're almost to the break. When we come back, I want to take some calls. 773-763-9278 is our number. I think, if Trump is reinstated during the break, we will cut to it live. I promise. Just so you know.
I did tweet out at Johnny Million 1. I tweeted out a big celebration.
Oh, great.
About the reinstatement taking place
awesome.
at Trump Towers.
Oh, is it? Okay, I'll take a look at that at Johnny Million 1, the number 1, and we'll all look at it. We'll be back right after this.